Mr. Johnson is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's been a dispute here today about the actual words that were shared in the ABC News George Stephanopoulos interview with the President. We took the liberty of getting the full transcript. I'm going to read you the relevant excerpt and ask you a question. And, Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter the transcript into the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
So Stephanopoulos asked this, quote, "But your military advisors warned against withdrawing on this timeline. They wanted you to keep about 2,500 troops. Biden, no, they didn't. It was split. That wasn't true. That wasn't true. Stephanopoulos, they didn't tell you that they wanted troops to stay? Biden, no, not in terms of whether we were going to get out in a time frame all troops. They didn't argue against that. Stephanopoulos, so no one told, your military advisors did not tell you, quote, no, we should just keep 2,500 troops? It's been a stable situation for the last several years. We can do that. We can continue to do that. Question, Biden, no one said that to me that I can recall. So, gentlemen, with all due respect, the American people deserve to know the truth in all this. They're asking us to get the truth. So here's the thing. There's only three possibilities here. Either the President lied to the American people, or he legitimately cannot remember the counsel of his top military advisors in winding down the longest war in American history, or you have not been fully accurate under oath. General McKenzie, I'll ask you, which is it?
I'm going to be very direct. I cannot share advice I give the President, and I will not do that. I will also tell you, though, that it's been my consistent position throughout this hearing and the hearing yesterday that I believe the appropriate level of our forces in Afghanistan should have been 2,500.
I think we can take that to mean that you gave him that advice. Let me ask.
Sir, I would not take it to mean anything other than the words.
Fair enough. Secretary Austin, what is it? What are we to believe by seeing all this?
Well, first of all, you heard me say earlier, Congressman, that I support the President's decision. You also heard me say that I don't view this choice as a no-cost, no-risk choice. I do believe that if we left 2,500 people there for a long and extended period of time, you'd eventually have to reinforce those people because the Taliban was committed to attacking us.
Mr. Secretary, I understand all that. What we're trying to get to is, what did the President know? Did he forget what was told to him, or is he not being truthful?
I view that as an inappropriate question, and I won't.
Well, you may, but the American people don't. And the American people want and deserve accountability. And we even have service members like Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller being thrown in the brig for suggesting that. The public's faith in our institutions continues to erode precisely because everyone in the D.C. bubble appears to have some sort of immunity from the basic standards the rest of America is expected to live by. This is quite clearly one of the biggest military and foreign policy blunders since our withdrawal from Vietnam. So my question for all of you is very simple. Where does the blame lie? Mr. Austin, Secretary Austin.
Well, first of all, I am responsible for everything that happens that DOD does, and it does a lot. I remain focused on defending this country, and that's going to be my focus for the foreseeable future. Secondly, I would remind you that we just evacuated 124,000 people.
I appreciate that you think that was a big success, evacuation, but the blame for the disastrous withdrawal that everyone agrees was a disaster, who's to blame for that? I'll let the silence speak for itself. General Milley, you said earlier this month that it's possible that we would work with the Taliban to conduct strikes against ISIS-K in Afghanistan, presumably referencing our over-the-horizon capabilities. But today you testified, you said, quote, the Taliban remains a terrorist organization with ties to Al-Qaeda. So are you now suggesting that the United States form some sort of strategic partnership with a terrorist organization?
No, absolutely not. I'm not suggesting that at all. Could I go to your first question, though?
Please.
Like Frank McKenzie, like General McKenzie, it's not our purview to share specific discussions with the President in terms of national security decision-making. But it was our opinion at the time, and it's been very consistent. And I would also tell you that this administration did, and I was part of it, along with the Joint Chiefs, a very rigorous process. And this President was one of the most informed decisions that you can imagine, in terms of all sides of the argument. We in the military, in the uniformed military, we look at the cost, the risk to force, the benefit, et cetera, in a narrow, focused view. Other decision makers have a much wider angle.
I appreciate that, but what we're left with in the 9 seconds I have left is that we're supposed to believe that the President was either not informed by you of these very important factors, or he forgot it. Either one is alarming. I yield
Gentleman's
back.
time is expired, and since the transcript was submitted for the record, we read through this kind of quick. But Mr. Stephanopoulos says your top military advisors warns against withdrawing in this timeline. They wanted you to keep about 2,500 troops. No, they didn't. It was split. That's what the president said. He didn't say, no, nobody advised me. It was split.
Mr. Chairman,
Then
read down two more lines.
I'll be done just a second, then I'll yield it back to you. And then Stephanopoulos says, no. No one said we should just keep 2,500 troops. It's been a stable situation for the last several years. We can do that. We can continue to do that. No. No one said that to me that I can recall. No one said it's been a stable situation for the last several years. We can do that. We can continue to do that. Those are the words on the transcript that was just submitted. I'll leave it to other people to interpret that, but those are the actual words. And yes, I will yield, Mr. Johnson, if you can do it quickly. Sorry, I want to get to some other people, but I should give you the chance. Go ahead.
I'll do it very quickly, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. I mean, you just read it at face value. Stephanopoulos says, so no one told you, your military advisors did not tell you, no, we should just keep 2,500 troops. It's been a stable situation for the last several years. We can do that. We can continue to do that. Biden says, no. No one said that to me that I
You
can
read
recall.
quickly through the it's been a stable situation part, but that's kind of the important part.
Okay. Well, look, it's open to
Okay.
individual
I think
interpretation.
we've both made our point.
All right.
Would
I
move
think the
on
American
to
people would
Miss-
use common sense, and
Thank
it's alarming, whatever it is. I yield back.